Okay, so I came across some news that the Kremlin mouthpiece Russia Today was reporting that their bank accounts in the UK have been frozen or blocked, they say without explanation. I don't know what exactly has happened, whether this has been the banks acting of their own accord or guidelines from the British government. Um, so, a number of things I want to say about this. They were interviewing someone called John White from Edinburgh. Now, his sort of narrative was basically towing into the RT line about they want to speak up for the truth, and most Syrians support Assad, which is a lie. They don't. Um, I'd never heard of this guy, John White, before. He was speaking from Edinburgh. I would be interested to know what his political allegiances are. That is significant because if he happens to be an SNP supporter, and I don't know, but if he is, that would not be surprising. Russia today wants to break up of the United Kingdom. It's part of their agenda. Um, so they're going to toll the propaganda of the Scottish National Party, who they enthusiastically support because they hate the United Kingdom. Why? Because Russia today is a direct arm of the Russian government, and obviously relations between Russia and Britain are not good right now. So Russia wants a weakened Britain. It is important to look at the nature of RT before questioning what has happened here. Russia Today pertains to be an independent news source that is just seeking truth. This is a complete lie. For years now, Russia Today has made it absolutely clear that they are pushing a Russian neo-nationalist agenda, and this particularly arises during wartime. During the war in Georgia in 2008 and Ukraine since 2014, it's been abundantly clear what their agenda is. When it comes to Syria, they routinely tow pro Assad propaganda whilst constantly attacking the position of Britain, America, and Western countries. Indeed, if you look at the coverage of Britain, America, France, they never, ever, ever have anything positive to report. Everything has an angle of a conspiracy theory. Now, that would be one thing if it wasn't for the fact that they did not hold the same standards with the Russian government. They never, for example, have reports on the number of journalists who have simply gone missing or been found murdered, who have questioned Putin. And that shouldn't be surprising because their paymaster is Putin and his government. Um, what I find is RT is kind of a beacon of light for those who convince themselves that all the world's problems are the fault of Britain, America, and Europe. And the sort of people who enthusiastically watch RT come out with all sorts of conspiracy theories about the Zionists controlling the media and all that sort of thing. It's a very predictable narrative. Now, here's my take on it. I really don't have a problem with foreign journalists. Well, actually, many of them are British anyway. Lord Hawhaw's, as far as I'm concerned. But I don't have a problem with a foreign news network questioning the British government. That's fine. I've always said no country should be above scrutiny. I include my own country in that. But that would be fine if RT was truly independent. But it's not. If RT questioned the Russian government just as much as it questioned the American and British government, I think, okay, they're independent journalists who are trying to find out the truth. But all they're doing is saying, oh, all the world's problems are the fault of Britain, America, and Europe, and we Russians are the noble saviors of Syria. It's a disgrace. RT is run by Russian ultranationals. And the sort of people who defend RT, I've noticed they tend to be far left people on the British political scene, the likes of the Stop the War Coalition and supporters of such organisations. They're usually far left, they're in some cases anarchists, and basically they have a preconceived notion of what they want to hear. So they are not critical thinkers. They don't think, well, I hate the British government, but what is the agenda of RT? Are they not pushing a pro-Russian line? No, they don't question that. They just blindly follow RT without even questioning what its motivation is. And when RT pertains to being fighting on so-called independent journalists or whistleblowers, what they're really doing is bringing on people to vindicate their own lines, usually people with grudges against whatever government they're talking against. Now, I really, really believe in independent media across the board. So I've no problem with people questioning the British government. The BBC has many, many faults, but I don't think anyone can accuse it of being a stooge of the British government because they have questioned government ministers. There's often been heated exchanges. The BBC does have many faults and there's certainly bias. CNN has bias. Fox has bias. Every news network has bias. So I'm not saying RT is the only one. But what I resent about RT is they have this arrogant notion. They pretend to be, other networks don't even bother trying to say, oh, we just tell the truth. RT does. RT does. And, consider this. During the Euromaidan crisis, I remember there was RT correspondents who quit on air. Quit on air. And I give them great credit for that. It's brave standing up against neo-nationalists. And given the track record of journalists who have gone missing in Russia, it's brave. They knew, they basically thought, I can no longer toll this propaganda. And I don't think it'll be the first time that happens. So I'm not saying I know what's going on in terms of these bank accounts being frozen. I'm not even saying I particularly support it. But by the same token, I'm not going to be particularly bothered by it because I don't think RT is an independent news source. There's nothing brave about RT at all. If anything, it's rather cowardly when you consider what they're doing. They are defending Russia's murderous campaign in Syria. They are defending the blood-stained dictator Bashar al-Assad. And they told this propaganda that Assad is killing terrorists. Assad is killing Syrian civilians who hate ISIS just as much. Russia today is an utter disgrace to journalism, and I really feel sorry for people who delude themselves as some sort of independent news source. If you look at the sort of people that support RT, they usually have extremely anti-British, anti-American, far left, or anti-Semitic viewpoints. That tends to be the trend. And I don't know what's happened. I don't know if this has been orders from the British government, which I wouldn't necessarily approve of. I would say this though. British so-called journalists who work for RT, they're Lord Haw Haws. Lord Haw Haw was a propagandist during World War II who worked for the Third Reich with propaganda messages. I regard British journalists who work for RT as not much better. They're working for an authoritarian regime, um, and they've got no shame. When they issue reports, there is always the caveat of conspiracy theories, always, and it's just a joke. That they pretend to be some sort of independent news source when it's blatantly obvious that they're not. And like I say, it's people who have a grievance against Western governments who slavishly support RT because it vindicates them. Because, it's human nature. They look at RT as vindicating everything they believe in. So they don't really care about truth. They just care about the fact that RT is criticizing Theresa May and Francois Hollande and Barack Obama. That's all they care about. So, mark my words, RT is not an independent news source. It just isn't. And yeah, I do question anyone who goes on RT. Um, I question what their motivations are. Personally, I don't think anyone who really is seeking the truth should, pander to this network by appearing on it. If they really are trying to, ascertain the truth, then okay, go on it, but call out their hypocrisy as well. Call out their bias. So I don't know what's happened here. I'm not saying I necessarily support the decision, but I know for sure that RT is not what it claims to be. It just isn't. The fact of the matter is the people who run RT are close friends of Vladimir Putin and the Russian ultranationalists. This is not an independent news source. It just isn't.